Oh my god. I thought my hair looked better than that. But look at it, it's doing its own thing. It's doing this. I'm doing a 1960s bridal thing. Oh, oh wow. Let her go, let her go, let her go. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me. My name is Mary June Tracy, the Guru Mama, coming to you with the 411 of the shenanigans of the world, of the planets, and all of that and more. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I mean, feels feels like a quick minute since I've been on, that's for sure. Man, we're going to cover a few things here. I'm turning back to my notes. So, oh, I with Pluto going back into Capricorn and, talking about the Pluto Capricorn transit. And it is, I mean, I don't know. I feel the difference. It is much more intense with it all. And I feel tired. I feel tired. And it's, um, tired, old, more difficult, stress. Um, we have I'm going to talk a little bit about this lunar eclipse that's coming in, and the lunar eclipse that is going to be coming in on September the 18th. Hi, Declan Joe, at 9:34 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this eclipse, the last time there was an eclipse in Pisces was in 2015. And this is sort of like, this is a sign. This is like an awakening that we're having, a clearing that we're having. And we also have it with Saturn and Neptune in there. And Saturn and Neptune aren't going to be meeting up. Like they're not going to conjunct. Even though they're there in the same sign, they're going to be transiting into Aries and then retrograding back into Pisces next year. And then they don't meet up until 2026. So that Saturn Neptune is not going to be meeting, and that's going to be at the beginning. So this moon is an awakening, as I said. And this moon also is in, especially with Neptune, and where Neptune is, we can go back to 1523, right? With, the heresy laws, extreme religion, hysteria around dignity, about, being respected. And it's funny because there's, every time I go by a place, there's that flag and it says, everyone welcome. And it's like, it's coming into the craziness of who's accepted, who's not accepted, and why am I not being accepted, and why am I not being, why doesn't it, just accept me for what I am, and you got to believe me the way I want to believe. That's very much with the Neptune Saturn transit, right? That's what it is. It's coming in about the restrictions, and the feelings are crazy with this Piscean energy and with Neptune. And with this full moon, and this moon is going to occult Saturn before it comes up, and we have that lunar eclipse happen in Neptune. So we are going through this hysteria. We are going through this craziness. This is a deep purging of what's coming in. And I started to think, and I started to go back and looking at I had to go searching for them, but my journals from 2015, and looking at my journals of 2015 of what was going on, and even back to 2008 on when Pluto entered into Capricorn at that time, and looking at what was going on in my life, what was happening in my life. And it was pretty crazy, that was happening in my life. It's like, Mary, your life is always crazy. But in March of 2015, there was a solar eclipse. So this is opposite, right? We're having a lunar eclipse at 29 degrees in Pisces. And now we're going to have a lunar eclipse, I think around 28 degrees or 20. So it's opposite. So we're in an opposition to what was happening then. And this is going to point, this is over, this is where the point is, it's overcoming something spiritual, something difficult. You wanted peace, lacking confidence. And that was 2015. So in 2015, there was this wanting something, you're wanting peace, you're wanting certain things in your life, but they just, either you didn't have the confidence to do it, you didn't have what you really needed to do, what it was that you needed. Now, and this is where we had a Uranus Pluto square at that time. Now we have a Uranus Pluto trine. And with the nodes in Aries, and then the nodes are going to be going into Pisces and Virgo at the beginning of the year. And right now, the nodes are very close to the end of Aries. That's why we're having the eclipse in Pisces, because it's very close, and it's not a full eclipse, it's a partial eclipse. Okay. So we're with this energy, this where we are wanting to have the confidence. And you didn't have the confidence to get over it. Now we're having the confidence to really to get over things, to get things done, to do it. But there is a, I'm going to call it a clogging. We're feeling like there's something more because we are with that Pluto back in Capricorn. It's bringing things up that need to be worked on or let go of, and to having that confidence in order to do this. And with this North Node, it's like feeling like almost things are feeling unfair. And we have to let go of that and we have to surrender. And it's like putting, we want to put the horse in front of the cart and just go, but we can't put the horse there yet until we empty the cart and look at what's in that cart in order to go. It's ready to go. We can do it, but it's going to take some time. And that's where this purging, this releasing, this letting go is coming in. And there is complicated issues and figuring it out, and can I actually handle this? And in 2015 might have been very difficult to handle it, or there were certain things or certain aspects that you just weren't able to utilize at that time. Now in 2015, my father died in 2014 in October, and then we had to move, and there were some crazy things that were going on. I think Steve, it was almost like the company he was working with closed down, and this was nearing the end of 2014 and going to the spring of 2015. And that's where we found out while Olivia was pregnant. We had Dominic going through some psychotic episodes and breakdowns, and so a lot was going on in my life in 2015. We were going through a lot of moving and moves and things like that. We'd get a place and then something would happen in that place, and we ended up having to move to another place. And so there was a lot of shifting and moving and things like that were happening in our lives at that time. And I was very focused on wanting to make my business grow, wanting to create some prosperity. I traveled with this company and going to different places and doing readings with them. And it was great. I met some wonderful people, but it was a lot of work for me, and I really didn't make the overly abundance that I thought I would make in doing this type of work and traveling because of the expenses and everything else. That so it was almost this movement that was happening. Now, being where I am now, it is like, yeah, there's a lot of things I got to let go of, a lot of things that aren't in that alignment anymore. And I'm ready to let it go. I'm ready to move on. So, for all of us, this is what's going on. And it could be, complicated and trying to figure it out. And can I actually handle it? And then more sitting on the fence. But back then, sitting on the fence was more not really wanting to move, but now we're sitting on the fence and we're just having to clear it all in order for us to go forward. And with this is maintaining. And how do I maintain that spiritual self? The reality, the hard to find the beauty, to maintain the spiritual self with the bitterness, with what is going on. And seeing that, especially within the spiritual community right now, the changes and the shifting and the the lack that is there within the spiritual community, the substance that is there within the community, what I've noticed. So we are now where in 2015 it was, in detriment. We are now coming to this point of wanting to step forward to do the clearing. And we're all having difficulties. Everybody in some way right now are going through some kind of crazy difficulties, and that's okay. And we got to be able to let ourselves to say that's okay, because this is coming in where these clogs, and what I see is these sort of our arteries are clogged, and it's deep within our soul, and these clogs are coming out, and they're being drained out, or they're being taken out. So I feel a lot is being pulled out at this time. And it's where it's time for us to really let it go. Responsibility, growing up, finding a plan and going with it. We are feeling maybe out of balance, but that's okay. Because being out of balance means that we have to just either shift something off or put something on. And that's what we're doing. We're kind of shifting and moving and trying to feel it and trying to get it to where we want to get it, and finding that focus and owning our shit, owning the shit. That's a big one. And having to do the spirituality, the clearing, and looking at the focus inward and bringing in the God element, bringing in the divine. This is allowing us to be fully faced with this, and no one is immune to this. No one right now on this planet is immune from what the energies are coming in and doing. And this is looking at the relationships. And this is like looking at, and sometimes we're going to be feeling threatened and looking at, am I overreacting? Am I overreacting to these things? And much more, and clearing the memories of it. And that's what the 12th house is. The 12th house holds on to memories, it holds on to karma, it holds on. So what is it, held back? And with Saturn there and with Neptune there is this plumbing coming in to get rid of the clogging in your drains. And this is to allow things to flow. And this is big gunky stuff that's coming forward. And this is where, especially with Pisces, media, dreams, what you're visualizing. I inhaled and swallowed at the same time. Dreams, massive. Looking at our dreams. What are our dreams? What's not allowing for our dreams to happen? And knowing that, and accepting where we're at, and especially with this Pluto, lunar eclipse. I'm going to call it the Pluto lunar eclipse, but with this lunar eclipse in Pisces, this is putting, putting the blame on oneself and the issues within me, or putting the blame on the world when the issues are within me. So you got to own 100% of this reality. You can't be what's going on in your life. You have to own it. You have to understand it. It is yours. And this is where we're coming to it. And this is, where, easy times make soft man, hard times make, hard man, strong man. We've been having easy times, and we're coming into these hard times in order to bring in people's strength, to bring in people's creativity, to bring in that, yeah, we can get this done. We're going to do this. But what happens is right now within our society, it's like, oh, I got a mental issue. I have this. I have anxiety. I mean, I have to share something out. Since my accident, this is the first time like I have actually felt deep depression and anxiety. And I'm just like, whoa. And I know part of it's the energy, but I know part of it is the shifting and things that are going on within my own self. And part of that is part of the healing that I have to take, and part of the healing of acceptance. Where in 2015, if I look at everything I was doing, was I didn't take the time to heal. I didn't take the time to accept the pain, to accept the craziness that was going on in my life. And it was more of and it's a Scorpio thing, right? You just get up, you just get on, and you just get it done, right? And you just move on to the next one, and you do it again and again and again. And then something has to come. God has to come in and do something and say, hey, there's some things here you have to look at. There's some things here you need to release, and they're part of the deep clog. And this lunar eclipse is getting people to look at those deep clogs, even even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to. And this is where it comes in, where we're looking at all of this in order to release it. And the patterns, the things, the holding you back. This is 12th house. This is karmic, right? So if people have a lot of stuff in their 12th house, it's like, boy, I look at charts and it doesn't matter what signs there, but sometimes with the 12th house, it's like, okay, what am I having to look at in this lifetime? Now, your 12th house for me, my 12th house is Gemini, I think. Yeah, it's Gemini. So I have a 12th house Gemini. And so it's really looking at communications, how I communicate my spiritual self. Now that sounds funny because you're all like, "Oh, well, that must be easy for you." No, it's not. There's a lot of things with me spiritually, or a lot of my own beliefs that I hold very deep, that need to be shared, but it is a fear sometimes of sharing some of them, because there is a part of me. Now we're going to go back to where my 5th house is. My 5th house of inner self, how I want to shine, is Scorpio, and 5th house is Leo. So, and the sun rules Leo. So it's like, how am I coming out and shining that inner self when I need to communicate? But in Pisces, it's really with that Piscean, it's hard to communicate it, because Pisces don't like conflict, and you don't want to bring the conflict in. So it's looking at, well, how am I going to resolve that through my inner self? When I have a Cancer rising and a Cancer moon, it really has to come into a feeling, and sometimes the feelings can be very overwhelming. And looking at all of those feelings that are overwhelming, because it's not only my feelings, it's the feelings I feel from everything else. So allowing myself to look at, what is it that I need to extract and go forward with, and what is it that I need to allow and just to surface and go with. So it's amazing when you start to look at you. This is why I encourage people to get a natal reading, because it is when you start to look at where things are in your chart, you get to understand a better of self, and an understanding of self, and an understanding of how, with these transits that are coming in, and knowing where your Pisces is. Where's Pisces in your chart? For me, it's in the 10th house. So it has to do with career, it has to do with job, it has to do with my dharma, paid and unpaid, right? So it's the 10th house. The 10th house is also ruled by Capricorn. And where is my Capricorn? You see how it goes? And you look at that and you start to sort of realize, okay, there's a lot of structures I have to put in there and create. And Pluto coming in for this last 29 degrees is getting you to look at, how can I do it? And then with this lunar eclipse, now it's an eclipse, so you're not going to see all what you want to see with it. So you got to remember that. So this is remembering, how far you have come, right? And how you are coming into this, and how you are going to allow yourself this closing. This is a closing, and this is trining. The thing is that this moon is sextiling over to Pluto. It's trining over to Neptune, and it's conjunct or trining over to Uranus. This is moon. This is where they're saying their goodbyes. It's because we're stepping into a new beginning. There's a new beginning, and it's just before the fall equinox. So things are dying off. It's the fall. Things are dying off. Things that are no longer there need to be let go. because we're going to have a solar eclipse with Libra. That's going to be the next one. So we're in this eclipse season right now. And this is about releasing, letting go. And this is a spiritual cutoff and wanting. We were wanting, with Pluto, with Saturn there, we're wanting. This is not, this isn't magical, but there's an emotional side to it because of where Pluto is. Pluto, if you look at everything that's happened since 2008 to now, the death and resurrections that you have gone through, because that's what Pluto did. Death and resurrection, the death of something, the rising of something. This is where at the beginning we had that crazy recession and people were losing their homes, right? Now we're at the end. People can't afford to buy a home. This is where right now there is, food, but there's no money. Now people can sort of get the food, but they can't get some money, but they can't afford the food. So we're seeing this sort of flip-flop of what's going on right now. And this is where we're going to be living and feeling the extremes of what's going on. And it feels like, like the good guys lose and the bad guys win, and we're never going to get ahead. And this is so crazy. Look at who's ruling and getting into power. Look at all this bullshit when it comes to the media. If you watched the debate last night, it was just like they didn't check her once. They kept checking him, and it was just like, oh my God, like, the fact checking. And now today people are going in and there's so many people coming out. Oh, look at fact check. Oh, Trump was right. Oh, she lied. She did lie. And it's just like, you're getting all these flip-flopping of what's going on and these extremes. And that's where we're at. And this lunar eclipse is bringing in the extremes of our emotional, spiritual self, and looking at where those clogs are, where those parts are, and where we have to let go and set them free and go forward. So if you have not ordered a moon reading yet to help you to get through this, and I put on sales for people to get these moon readings, why I feel these spiritual readings are important, because I'm going to be adding some essential oils. I'm going to be adding crystals in with these readings as we're going to the end of this year, because we're heading into like a constant, and I'm going to say and the visualization is a constant storm. And that's where we're going to be feeling, where we're going to be in this storm of going forward. And we have to go through this in order for us to create a better world for ourselves, for us to find a better connection when it comes to God and what that God connection is. Now, you can call God creator, goddess, whatever you want to call it, but I'm going to call him God, right? Because we need a God, because it's the God force, that force. And with the goddess energy, with the mother energy comes in, helps with the creation, helps with the flow, helps with the intuition. And allowing ourselves to trust in that and trust in that intellect that we have in order to step forward and be released. It's pretty fucking crazy, just saying. And it is intense. And I'm not trying to not trying to make it like, ooh, this is mama coming out and make it. No. I just want things to come in smoothly for us. I want things to come in gracefully for us. And it is. Some things you just have to get over and get it done and to move forward with it. And some things just may not move the way that you want them, or move the way that you would like them to move, or have them the way that you would like them to have them. And that's okay. That's okay. And that's why it's like, if you're trying to put the horse and connect the horse to the cart and take off, you're going to find the wheel broken. You're going to find something crazy, or the horse is going to take off, or something, the cart's going to tumble over, and it's going to be a worse mess than if you just go through and say, okay, let me go clear this. Let me clear this out. Right. I've been amazed lately. I've been having a lot of visions happening with me lately. And where, I mentioned on Facebook about the bus stop and the woman being there, and I feel like there's that, I feel like, she wasn't menacing. I know something, happened to her there, and I think she is there. I think my sister wrote something that was beautiful underneath that. And there is something there that was very protective with her being there. I've also had a lot to do with my father coming into my dreams. Um, Same with my brother coming into my dreams, which was really weird. Um, and a few other people who've passed away, and even some people who haven't passed away yet, or have not passed away. And it's just feeling there is this change. Like, my father usually doesn't come in unless there's a warning or something. There's something crazy that's going to come forth and happen. And in trusting that I'm going to be safe, trusting that things are going to be okay. And but we just have to go through the chaotic changes and the transformations that are coming in. So let's pull a card. So I shuffled them all and I pulled in a card. And yeah, it's going forward. So in comes the Page of Swords. It's coming in. It's newness, new ideas, new wins, changing us, pushing us into a different direction, pushing us in to something different that's there. And allowing us to go into it. And we may not get all the rewards that we want. We're thinking we should get all these accolades, or we're thinking this, we need to have all of this to get it done. But we're not getting it. We're not getting it. And that's okay. That's okay. Things aren't going to come into total perfect alignment for you. And especially where Venus is, Mars is slowing down. Mars is going to be in Cancer till April of next year. Like, that's a long transit. He's slowing down. He's going to retrograde in December, right? Because it's going to be in opposition to Mars, and then he's going to retrograde with that, and going back into Cancer. So this is a real deeply emotional time, and it can bring in friction. It can bring in, how am I going to get this? Now it's the fourth house, and the fourth house is Cancer. So the Cancer, it's about my home, my family, my safety, my security. And Mars is going, we're going to be feeling our safety and security. We're going to be feeling things to do with our home and how it is. And are we feeling secure? Is the world feeling secure? Like, right? We're going to be feeling that uneasiness, and it's there. But we have the intellect, the newness to get through this and move forward. It's going to be a crazy bumpy ride, people, but we can do this. We can do this. This moon is intense, and this moon is crazy. And I'm going to say, not a lot of YouTubers and little whatever they are on TikTok are going to say too much about, the correlation between 2015 and other years of how this is coming up, of us having to release it all. So on that note, I'm going to send you guys out so much love. May the Lord Almighty watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all that you say and all you be and all you do. You have a fabulous day, a fabulous week. We can get through this. We have the technology. We can do this. And I'm going to send you guys out so much love. Thank you so much for being a part of my world and a part of my community. God bless and God bless.